coverage you can count on. This is WNEM TV5 News at 5.
We're glad to bring this to a close before any innocent person was hurt or killed themselves.
After a lengthy manhunt spanning several mid-Michigan counties for the man who shot a Saginaw Township police officer early this morning, the suspect has now been captured after a brief shootout with police. Thanks for watching the News at 5. I'm David Custer.
And I'm Meg McLeod in for Colette. We've been following this developing story since before 3 a.m. in Saginaw County. This afternoon, Joshua Rosebush was taken into custody in Shiawassee County. Officer Jeff Koenig initiated that traffic stop on Tittabawassee Road. Investigators say after he shot Officer Koenig, Rosebush dumped his vehicle in Kochville Township and stole another before he traded that one for another stolen vehicle in Flint Township. The manhunt eventually ended after a shootout with police in Shiawassee County.
We have team coverage tonight on this developing story. Let's go first to TV5's Rachel McCrary live in Saginaw Township with more on how this all played out. Rachel.
David and Meg, we're just outside of the Saginaw Township Police Department, where one of their own is recovering tonight after being shot early this afternoon during a routine traffic stop. Now, the shooting happened in the area of Tittabawassee and Bay Road in Saginaw Township. Police say it was just after 2 this morning when 29-year-old Joshua Rosebush shot Saginaw Township police officer Jeff Koenig during a traffic stop. The officer was taken to the hospital for head and neck injuries, and a manhunt then ensued. Police say Rosebush was in a stolen truck at the time of the shooting and dumped that vehicle near a home on Liberty Road in Kochville Township. He then stole another vehicle and dumped it at a Home Depot store in Flint Township. But it wasn't until around 1 this afternoon when investigators spotted the suspect in yet another stolen vehicle, this time a van on I-69 in Shiawassee County. A detective followed the van for a while on the freeway as backup units responded to assist, trailing behind Rosebush to the Lanesburg exit on I-69 in Shiawassee County. Sheriff Robert Vigul said Rosebush pulled out a gun, prompting the detective to return fire, and that's when the suspect was shot and police were able to get Rosebush in custody. Vigul is relieved that they got the suspect off the streets.
Well, this is what we train for, and I'm thankful that my detective was not injured, and we're glad to bring this to a close before any innocent person was hurt or killed themselves.
At this time, we're not sure of Rosebush's extent or his injuries at this moment, but we do know that he is in an area hospital, and Koenig is in the hospital as well, and he was listed in critical but stable condition. In Saginaw Township, Rachel McCrary, WNEM, TV5.
All right, Rachel, thank you. Now, it's not the first run-in with the law for Joshua Rosebush. The 29-year-old has several prior convictions, including multiple incidents of assaulting an officer. TV5's Scott Walchek is in the Continuous News Center this evening, digging deeper into Rosebush's checkered past. Scott.
Well, Joshua Rosebush absconded from his parole in early January, David and Meg, and he's been in and out of the criminal justice system since he was a teenager. He was charged with 3 counts of breaking and entering he committed in 2006. That means he would have been around 16 years old at the time of the crime. Rosebush has a history of resisting police as well. In 2012, he was charged with resisting or assaulting an officer, and he was charged with the same crime, resisting or assaulting an officer, in 2016. Rosebush also has multiple charges when it comes to breaking into cars and stealing credit cards. We talked with Vassar police, who were keeping an eye out for Rosebush. They say he was a suspect in a string of 10 car break-ins earlier this month. They began looking for him during the investigation of 2 vehicle thefts, saying he had removed his tether. Clearly, Rosebush is no fan of the law, but his earlier charges were much less severe than the one this morning. Live in studio, I'm Scott Walchek. David and Meg, back to you.
Thank you, Scott. And as we mentioned earlier, the search for the suspect spanned across much of mid-Michigan. Investigators say the truck he was originally driving was found in a Kochville Township neighborhood, not far from the scene of the shooting. TV5's April Morton spoke with homeowners who were stunned by the heavy police presence in their typically quiet neighborhood.
Things back to normal here now in this quiet Kochville Township neighborhood, but earlier this morning there was a heavy police presence, and that put neighbors here on edge.
Yeah, and it is scary, you know. And my son, like I say, he got worried right away because he said, "Mom, make sure your doors are locked."
Like many other residents on Liberty Street and the surrounding area, Phyllis Gray was awakened this morning to helicopters hovering around her home and police officers in the yard of a home just a few doors down. They were searching for 29-year-old Joshua Rosebush, who police say dumped this stolen Ford F-150 here after shooting Saginaw Township police officer Jeff Koenig. Neighbor Matt Brown was shocked when he looked outside his front window.
Up and I was getting coffee, and I looked out the window and I saw the police cars, and so I turned on the news, and that's how I found out.
Several police agencies went well into the afternoon, combing through the area surrounding the house on Liberty just off of Mark Street, trying to find any evidence to help them with the case. Police not sure why Rosebush chose this area to dump the truck. Neighbors think because it's a rural area.
I have it out here because it's country, but then that does bring sometimes crime along with it, and it's quite clear that they seem to run to the outskirts.
In Kochville Township, April Morton, WNEM TV 5.
Supporters of Officer Koenig have started a fundraiser for him on Facebook. And if you'd like to donate, the link is in this story on the TV5 homepage. And make sure you stay with TV5 and WNEM.com as we continue to follow this story on air, online, and on the TV5 mobile app.
The snow has started falling all over mid-Michigan as we take this live look over Midland and Bay City, and it's just the beginning of what's shaping up to be a very messy night.
Oh, yeah. Chief Meteorologist Brian Bachman is in the First Warn 5 Weather Center to tell us about that mess. Hi there, Brian.
Hi there, David and Meg. Yeah, from our bitter cold over the weekend and last night, straight on into our next wintry mess tonight as a brand new winter storm comes charging in from the Central Plains and spreads in across the Great Lakes. Already winter weather advisories up for the entire region going all the way through tomorrow afternoon. Once this picks up in earnest, really after about 9 and 10 o'clock is when the real steady precipitation is going to settle in this evening. This is not going to wind down until probably at the earliest 3 p.m. tomorrow. It's going to be a blend of snow, freezing rain, even just some plain rain and some sleet tossed in at times too. So this is all just the beginning here on the First Warn 5 Sky Tracker. Some scattered pockets of snow moving northeastward, mainly impacting the Flint area right now, spanning in toward the Caro area and all across Lapeer and Sanilac counties, as well as a little band of snow arcing back in across Alcona and Iosco counties right now. But as we zoom out, here's what else all has to work its way through during the overnight period. On the front end, most of this will be snow as it continues to fill in and lift in off toward the north and east across the region. But eventually we're going to get some warmer air to the south, closer to Chicago and into Illinois, to rotate in across the system. That's going to lead to that changeover to a mix of freezing rain, sleet, or even just plain rain in parts of the area. And again, persisting all the way through tomorrow afternoon. So on the front end, like I said, most of this is going to start as snow. 22 degrees right now in Saginaw, 24 Grand Rapids, 26 Detroit. Ironically enough, it's the warmest we've been in the last few days. But these upper 30s are going to be more commonplace as we head into tomorrow afternoon. And that's going to facilitate that change over to even just some plain rain in parts of the area. So get ready for a messy evening and overnight period as the scattered snow just fills in and gradually blends into a wintry mix, with temperatures rising to near freezing closer to daybreak. I'll have a full breakdown of snowfall totals coming up in your full forecast.
All right, Brian, thank you. Now you can track this storm and get the latest weather alerts with the TV5 mobile app. Download it now from the App Store or Google Play.
Getting stuck in traffic doesn't just hamper your mood.
Yeah, still ahead, the harm caused by the stress of driving.
Plus, safest cities, where Michigan cities rank, coming up. And you're watching TV5 News at 5, serving Bridgeport, Davison, Caro, and your hometown too.
It's coverage you can count on.
It starts here with an idea or a tip.
Good or shouldn't we really have to know with?
Finding out exactly what's going on. It takes connections, hard work.
Colette, how are you?
Asking the tough questions when no one else will.
And then there are several other women.
Doing what it takes to get you the answers.
If you know who's responsible.
Around here, it's all in a night's work. WNEM TV5 News at 11. Coverage you can count on.
This is the Ascension, Michigan Heart Report. With us is Dr. Peter Fattel. Dr. Fattel, explain to us what heart failure is.
Well, heart failure refers to an inability of the heart to provide the blood flow to the body, usually related to the fact that the heart doesn't function well. As a result, people have symptoms from an inability of the heart to provide the need, and the fluid can back up behind the heart, causing some shortness of breath.
What are the treatment options for those patients?
Primarily, the first set of treatment options revolve around understanding what the cause was and treating that to try to improve that. Beyond that, some of the treatment that we use revolves around getting rid of the fluid, giving medications to remove the fluid, as well as giving medications to try to help the heart function more appropriately and increase the strength of the heart muscle.
Make sure your heart is healthy. Get a heart scan. Go to ascension.org/heartscan.
The most daunting part of my day is facing the bathroom scale. Last time I weighed myself, wait, did I have my pants on? I didn't have a sweater on either. Definitely took my socks off. And I would never wear my bracelets or my earrings.
Ready to lose some real weight? Lose all the weight you want for $59 per month when you call 1-800-GET-SLIM. Share the things to come.
News. People across mid-Michigan are remembering a young man killed in a crash over the weekend. Police tell TV5 20-year-old James Matthew Stewart of Saginaw Township hit another vehicle head-on near Grand River and Meridian in Meridian Township. That's near Lansing. Police say James wasn't wearing a seatbelt. Stewart was the son of Saginaw County Circuit Court Judge Matthew J. Stewart. The cause is under investigation.
The National Council for Home Safety and Security providing rankings for our state in key categories. For property crime, Michigan is the 11th safest state, but for violent crime, 34th. Now, the council also ranking the safest cities across the state. The top 10, all in the Metro Detroit area. The first city in mid-Michigan on the list is Flushing Township at 23rd. Davison Township next at 34, Midland at 48, and Fenton rounding out the top 50. Now, you can find more on the safest cities across the state in the hot link section of WNEM.com.
Traffic takes a toll on our health. A study in the Journal of Public Economics says traffic affects your psychological well-being and has even been linked to domestic violence. It stems from the sense of helplessness you experience in traffic and its unpredictability. Researchers at Texas A&M say the average American commuter spends 42 hours per year stuck in rush hour traffic.
I don't have road rage and I don't get upset, but man, traffic just really changes my mood.
Your gears.
Yes.
I agree. I agree. I can see why people get really stressed out.
Can relate. All right, more protests today over the encounter on Capitol Hill over a group of teenagers and a Native American elder.
Still ahead, why some activists say the students aren't the only ones who should be held accountable.
And we're just hours away from the next deadline for federal workers to get paid, but the government has to reopen first, and so far, there's no sign that will happen anytime soon.
Snow, ice, road work, whatever. If it slows you down, we're here to help. Before you hit mid-Michigan roads this winter, ride along with the WNEM TV5 Road Warriors.
During the 1-800-Hanson's blowout sale, get 50% off the installation of a new roof with Scotchgard and a lifetime guarantee. Plus, for the first time ever, take an extra 20% off. That's up to 70% off. 70% off the installation of a new roof. And no payments and no interest till winter 2020. Plus, get a new Amazon Echo Dot. Whether you buy from us or anyone else, the Echo is yours. 1-800-Hanson's blowout sale. Get it done.
An attack on free speech brings a family together.
My sister goes here. I'm just trying to make sure she's okay.
Brace yourself for a powerful reunion. Don't go near my phone. It's not worth it. FBI in CBS Tonight, 9/8 Central.
Tonight, NCIS New Orleans goes undercover for a game of cops and robbers.
Let's find our killer.
New tonight.
State Farm, like a good neighbor? I don't think so. State Farm was sued by 5 million policyholders for funneling millions of dollars to elect a judge just so that judge could overturn a $1 billion verdict. Just another one of their dirty tricks. And by the way, State Farm paid $250 million to make this case go away. We protect our clients every day from insurance companies like this. No wonder they hate us. No wonder clients love us.
Getting to work or just getting around your town? Know before you go. TV5 Live On Time Traffic. Mornings 4:30 to 7 a.m.
Neither President Donald Trump nor congressional Democrats appear to be any closer to ending the 32-day-old partial government shutdown.
Mullaney reports that means hundreds of thousands of federal workers will soon miss yet another paycheck.
Senate Republicans will introduce a bill to end the partial government shutdown that incorporates President Trump's offer to break the logjam.
The proposal outlined by President Trump that we'll consider here in the Senate is the only proposal, the only one currently before us that can be signed by the President and immediately reopen the government.
The president's plan includes 3 years protection for some refugees and so-called dreamers. It also includes $5.7 billion for a border wall.
We heard what the particulars were in it, and it was a non-starter.
Democrats are demanding the president reopen the government before negotiations on border security can begin.
First, President Trump said, "Give me the wall or I'll shut down the government." Then President Trump said, "Unless you give me the wall, I'll keep the government shut down."
A deal would have to be reached by midnight tonight in order for federal workers to receive their next paycheck on time. There is no sign that'll happen.
No pay, no work.
These federal workers in Arkansas say another missed check could have dire consequences.
By this coming week, you know, people may be out of their home because landlords may or may not say, okay, we'll wait for our money.
And resentment over the political stalemate is growing.
Quit using us as your pawns. Get down to your work that you're supposed to be doing.
Polls show a majority of Americans disapprove of how the president and both parties in Congress are handling the shutdown. Mullaney, CBS News, the White House.
President Donald Trump and House Speaker Nancy Pelosi remain at odds over the State of the Union address. The White House says President Trump plans to deliver his address at the Capitol next week, even though Pelosi hasn't given the green light. She appears firm in her request that he postpone the speech until the government reopens. Trump will not be able to deliver the address before a joint session of Congress unless the House and Senate pass resolutions convening the session.
I felt like it was a little inappropriate, a little disrespectful for the kid to just be like smug with a little smirk on his face.
A small group of Native American protesters gathered in Covington, Kentucky after the encounter between teenagers from Covington Catholic High School and Native American elder Nathan Phillips. It started Friday when the students attended the March for Life rally in Washington, D.C. Omaha Tribe elder Nathan Phillips was there for the Indigenous Peoples March. Video released later showed Phillips actually approached the student and not the other way around. Still, activists are calling for the chaperones on the trip to be held accountable after they say other students taunted Phillips.
When you have priests and nuns who go across this country actually fighting for immigrants' rights and the poor and the marginalized, you cannot allow representatives of your faith to behave this way. They have to be held accountable.
The school has since offered an apology for how its students behaved. The chaperones with them say they did nothing wrong. An Iowa lottery winner didn't win the jackpot, but he still wanted the millionaire treatment. Tyler Heap bought a few scratch-off tickets with some pocket change, and he won a whole $1. Instead of turning it in for cash, he went to Iowa lottery headquarters.
Yeah, Heap wanted one of the big ceremonial checks given to lottery winners, and after getting a laugh out of the request, Heap says the lottery obliged him.
You know, the guy came down the stairs and took me to the back room where the camera was with the Iowa Lottery logo in the background. And sure enough, they wrote me the $1 check and had me hold it up for the camera and took a picture.
What a character. Now, as for how he spent his winnings, he says he bought half a gallon of gas.
That is awesome. And don't forget, you can see tonight's Mega Millions right here on TV5. The numbers will be drawn just before TV5 News at 11.
Certified most accurate. Now, your first Warn 5 forecast with Mid-Michigan's only live radar. Here's Chief Meteorologist Brian Bachman.
All right, good Tuesday evening to you, everybody. Hey, you know, dollar or not, that guy can call himself a lottery winner. I'm not sure how many of us actually can, but we, of course, have more pressing matters here in mid-Michigan tonight. Weather-wise, we moved out of this morning's bitter cold. Temperatures are actually going to moderate and be at their warmest levels we've seen in the last 4 or 5 days overnight. But we've already got the leading edge of our winter storm rolling in, putting some snow down in parts of the region. Let's show you where on the first Warn 5 pinpoint Doppler radar. And as you can see, it's still a broken, kind of scattered snow setting up across most of mid-Michigan. We have a little bit of a tailing band kind of working its way back in off of Lake Huron, anywhere from Harrisville and Oscoda, roughly through the Tawas area, in fact, across most of Alcona and Iosco counties, while folks closer to Gladwin, Clare, Mount Pleasant, Tri-Cities, and into the northern thumb are snow-free. But then we have the first real, more substantial push of snow working in along I-69 right now. Some isolated, heavier banding coming down in and around the Lapeer area, moving in toward North Branch, while it tails back off in intensity, but still coming down nonetheless in places like Flint, Grand Blanc, Fenton, and even a new push toward Perry and Owasso. This is all just the beginning. We're going to see a much more widespread and steady snow break out gradually over the course of this evening. And then for many of us, it's going to start to transition to a wintry mix that will likely include freezing rain and some sleet. So we take a look over downtown Saginaw right now. Actually picked up some of that, or I should say downtown Midland, excuse me, picked up some of that snow in the last hour or so. 22 degrees the current temperature, getting a break now in the snow for the time being. Feels more like 15 though, with a south wind at 5 miles per hour. We go next to downtown Flint. We can see some evidence that snow is coming down. Looks like maybe even a little bit of a dusting there over some of the less traveled areas and the parking spaces. Current temp at 24 degrees for you in Flint, and 23 in downtown Saginaw. Kind of a little fresh dusting there on top of what was already on the ground, and plenty more snow, of course, to come in overnight. Why? Well, it's a brand new winter storm. We see it here on the first Warn 5 Sky Tracker, centered over eastern Kansas tonight, already nudging our high pressure system from yesterday out of the picture. But whereas the weekend system was more of a glancing shot as it ducked across parts of Indiana and Ohio, this low pressure system this time around is actually going to make a direct pass across lower Michigan tomorrow. So what starts as snow on the front end here, as all of this starts to fill in this evening, we'll actually start to see temperatures come up. So some of these mixed areas closer to Chicago, and then even a plain change over to rain in parts of Missouri. Some parts of mid-Michigan will be seeing that as we head toward tomorrow morning. So let's time it out. Hour by hour forecast at 7 o'clock. Still seeing the scattered pockets of hit or miss snow. Even some of those could come down in heavier bursts at times, so don't treat them lightly. They will make the road slick. Then the steadier and heavier snow really starts to set in once we move toward the 10 o'clock and 11 p.m. hours. We move past midnight, and by about 3 to 4 and especially 5 o'clock in the morning, folks along I-69 will see that transition over to a freezing rain sleet mix and even some occasional plain rain breaking out, while folks farther to the north continue to see the heavier snow. That mixing line will just continue to work farther and farther north as we head into about mid-morning tomorrow, really peaking around the Tri-Cities area to Mount Pleasant and Alma and into the thumb by tomorrow afternoon, before things then gradually wind down with some leftover rain and snow showers as far out as the evening commute tomorrow. So we look at the snowfall totals. Still about 2 inches or less generally along the I-69 corridor, where we see primarily rain into tomorrow morning. Heavier amounts where we stay snow to the north, 4 to 8 inches around Houghton Lake, Gladwin, and northbound toward places like Oscoda and Harrisville. Then we got this band in the middle, 2 to 6 inches. I know that's a wide range. That includes the Tri-Cities, Mount Pleasant, and Alma, and into the northern thumb, but the reason being we expect to see more of a mix setting up here, so that ultimately will dictate exactly how much snow we see. So either way, be prepared for some potentially messy and dangerous conditions into tomorrow. 38 will be the high, so at least there's that silver lining. Then it's right back into the bitterly cold temperatures by the end of the week. David and Meg.
All right, Brian, thank you. Precious prize, a woman sifting through the charred rubble of a California fire is rewarded.
Still ahead, a family heirloom lost in the blaze is now back where it belongs.
And download the TV5 mobile app for the latest news and weather. You'll find it in the App Store or on Google Play.
Live Mega Millions drawing Tuesday and Friday at 11 on TV5.
WNEM TV5 Wake Up. It's the news from overnight. What's going on now and what to expect for the day ahead. TV5 Wake Up. Weekday morning starting at 4:30. Local news coverage you can count on.
Overtime. It's when we power through to the end. because we don't quit until the work is done, and we expect the same from our tools. We can't be worried about our batteries. That's why I went with the Masterforce brushless drill and driver. It gives me up to 1.5 times the battery life. And who doesn't love time and a half? The 20-volt brushless drill, part of the Masterforce cordless tool solution.
Get 11% off everything, including Masterforce at Menards. Saginaw Eagles Landing Casino is kicking off 2019 in a big way, like a $100,000 kind of big way. Spin a Fortune will give guests the chance to win $100,000. Entries earned beginning December 24th are good for hourly drawings from 12 p.m. to 9 p.m. on Monday, December 31st, and continue every Saturday in January. Hourly winners can spin to win cash and premium play up to $100,000. So come in to spin on December 31st and every Saturday in January for your chance to spin a fortune. Only at Saginaw Eagles Landing Casino.
When we say every Culver's Butterburger is cooked to order, here's what we mean.
Can I get a Butterburger?
The Culver's Deluxe, please.
Ketchup, mustard, pickle, and onion?
Craig Culver, I'm going to cook for you. Follow me.
I would love
Come on in. Fresh beef.
It looks great.
And we're looking for that nice sear, just like we got right here. That's where that great steak flavor comes from.
Totally fresh, made to order, the way you want it.
Searing it to perfection is really cool to see that.
Welcome to Delicious.
It ends Tuesday. Half off every wall side window. Plus an extra $75 off every window when you pay cash. You could save thousands. Half off every window, plus an extra $75 off, or 5 years, no interest. Celebrating 75 years is a big deal for us and for you. Call today. It ends Tuesday, January 29th. 1-800-521-7800.
Dr. Phil, weekdays at 4 on WNEM TV 5.
Sifting through the rubble became devastatingly commonplace after California's Camp Fire. For one woman, returning to the ashes of her home to find a ring seemed fruitless.
After hours of searching, Heather Thornwood uncovered the precious family heirloom.
I lived through Great Depression. It's over 100 years old, and I'm going to be able to pass it on to my children at some point in time.
Heather's great-great-grandfather made that ring out of a tie stud and gave it to her great-great-grandmother sometime in the early 1900s. Eventually, it was passed on to her.
Wow, good for her.
That is so exciting.
Isn't it?
I would love to be there for that moment when they found it.
I know. Good stuff. All right, the news at 5:30 is next on TV 5.
And here's Frank Turner with a quick look at the stories we're working on. Hi, Frank.
Hi, Meg. Hi, David. Good evening, everyone. Coming up all new on TV 5 News at 5:30, the Supreme Court allowing President Trump's transgender military ban to take effect. What's prompting the temporary change, barring them from serving? And new rules for making medical costs more transparent, creating mass confusion instead. How trade secrets are playing a pivotal role. It's coverage you can count on.